USA. Hello, everyone.
I love it.
Welcome to another episode of the Studs and Scrubs Hockey Podcast. I am Stu Coffey. With me, as always, is Nick Strum. Nick,
What up?
before we dive into our regular hellos and how you doing, today is the 11th of February, 2025, which means tomorrow begins the NHL's Four Nation Faceoff. And February the 11th, I believe, was the first time ever. If you want to tie in a little hockey to geography, as I love to do, you pull open Google Maps and you head south of New Orleans, Louisiana. There's a very large body of water that comes up as the Gulf of America.
Gulf of America. Yes. Yes.
This interesting renaming of our maps today, I believe, now that I had some time to ponder on it as a geography nerd, because, geographically it sort of makes sense that there's two continents, North America, South America, large body of water between them. Going back 200, 300, 400 years, the Gulf of the Americas with an S, that actually makes sense. Not really, I don't think what happened today, but what did happen was that USA is going to win the Four Nations.
And the prize is the Gulf.
So President Trump said we're going to rename it Gulf of America to support the, Quinn Hughes can't make the tournament. He called him up and he said, listen, I can't go. We need to do something big for the boys. And that's why they changed the name.
Okay.
Not a lot of people know that, but that's the deciding factor.
Nice.
Anyways, man,
okay.
How have you been?
Well, we just had the Super Bowl and the Eagles won, right? So America, Eagles, Freedom Ring. We like to think that everything here in America is like world champions. So the world champion Eagles.
The World Series, the only country.
World Series. Yeah. I mean, sometimes Canada, but that doesn't really count.
Right,
We're coming after them next.
Right.
Canadian Bacon style.
Canadian Bacon, what an underrated movie. Okay, you can't get too sidetracked, but that needs to go on to your family-friendly watch.
I was thinking about that the other day because I was thinking of the John Candy movie.
Probably, but the kids are old enough for sure.
Yeah.
I haven't seen it in years and years and years, but I don't think
it's been a long time. I'm sure. I think it's in the same vein as Uncle Buck and The Great Outdoors. I mean, you go back and watch those, the language is a little bit more than you remember, but also sometimes I feel like I've watched those on TV, so it is a little tamed down. But I think it's in the same vein. It would be fun. Yeah.
Blue comedy that you don't really think about until you're sitting on a couch with somebody going through.
Yeah, your mom or your kids. And you're like, ooh, whoops. Yeah.
Oopsie, yeah, grandma's sitting here and you're like, oh, right. Forgot about this scene.
But yeah. So how you been, Stu?
Oh, I've been good, man. Nothing too crazy down here. Our fridge broke, which was a big pain in the butt. But got that kind of figured out. So
okay. Everyone's
a big thing.
And everyone's over being sick?
Yeah, everyone was sick back when we actually released our Christmas special, New Year special. We were all good. And then it's just a wait.
Right after that.
Everyone got sick. And it kind of lingered a long time. I still had a little bit. I'll randomly get a cough fit, and it's 5-6 weeks. So now back home, you had some sickness too, right?
Yeah, thankfully the kids and I have been safe, but Rochelle's been battling flu-like stuff almost a week now since last Wednesday. So Wednesday, Thursday, she had a fever. Friday started to feel better, but just been down and out. Finally, yesterday, I think, left the house for the first time to take Eli to school and, was kind of moving up and moving around. But today, kind of back to normal, just tired and everything. But it did make me think, because we were talking earlier before we started recording about, you'd said about the viruses and stuff. And it just made me think of the Sword and the Stone. When the wizards are having their battle and they can't disappear, and I forget what her name is, but she turns into the bacteria or the virus. Yeah.
Madam Mim. No cheating, Merlin. You can't go invisible. I'm not invisible. I'm a germ. That's that is one of the best scenes like in all of Disney. It's so underrated. The Wizard Duel.
Yeah.
And
Hmm.
what's funny is for years and years and years when Austin was in high
I knew
school.
you would like that.
Yeah, so like my older brother Austin, right? When he was in high school, I'm pretty sure, or maybe when he kind of first went to college, he would call my mom Mim, and she thought it was cute. Like he said, "Mom, Mim," and he's like, "All right, talk to you later, Mim. Talk to you later, Mim." And he has multiple master's degrees, and he got a master's in Scotland. So I think my mom just kind of thought it was kind of like mum. It was
Yeah.
like, "Oh, hey, Mim, see you later, Mim." And I mean, for years. And then she said it one time. He was like, "Yeah, like Madam Mim, the Pink Witch in Sword of the Stone." She was like, "You've been calling me that bad witch, the evil witch from the Sword of the Stone for years." And so we always say that
Oh man,
now.
that's funny. I didn't know that.
Yeah, so
That's
I love that.
hilarious.
And it's there's a scene when Archimedes, the owl,
Ah, yes.
he says, Merlin is like inventing airplanes, right?
Hmm.
And he's like, I've seen it. I've seen this in the future. Men one day will fly. And Archimedes is making fun of him because his flying machines don't work. And he goes, yeah, men will fly one day like a rock. And he laughs at his own joke. And it is like, I think it's Austin's all time favorite thing in any Disney,
Mm.
maybe like in any movie ever made. It's like when he, because now you got like Family Guy and stuff that do that. But I mean, the
Oh
movie
yeah,
came out in the 60s. He laughs at himself for like 18 seconds. It goes way too long. It's the end of the whole scene. It fades out. Goes. I mean, he just laughs
yeah.
at his own joke. It's so
Man, that
good.
is a good movie. I need to rewatch that.
It's
You know, so Leah and I the other day were also talking about it was in the Instagram chat,
yeah.
and I forget who was sending. Oh, I think she sent me a video of the voice actors doing their thing
Oh,
for a Goofy movie, highly underrated Disney movie. Just so
we
we
just
know,
watched it. That's probably why we watched it.
probably why. Yes, yes. And she said, "Yeah, Stu had a thing for Roxanne." I'm like, "Yeah, we all did."
Yeah, hon. You know
So,
what?
just another great movie, dude.
We
I
don't want
love
to go
that one.
too far off the rails, but I have seen a lot of good memes that's like, what is wrong with this generation? Today's world's so messed up. There's all these things in the world that are bad and wrong and stuff. And like, what's going on with these, kids wear like cat ears and stuff. And what is this furry thing? Kids are so much. And then it's Roxanne. And it's like, well, now okay, all of a sudden I'm relating
Yeah,
again.
yeah.
How does that even happen? How does this generation get so messed up? And it's like, also being married to a Latin woman, they joke a lot about that of like, how did you like, small waist, curvy girls, how did you? It's just like all these Disney drawings for the past 100
Oh,
years.
yeah,
It's like,
yeah.
oh,
Well,
okay,
okay.
Jasmine, okay, Shell, okay. So
Right.
you realize how this all got started.
It's not hard to connect the dots.
Anyways, before I go get us canceled before we post the
All right,
episode,
back to
back to
hockey.
hockey. So I always just love to connect the geography, and I couldn't. I thought it was a joke. Somebody sent me the Gulf of America thing.
Oh, yeah.
I'd heard about it, but they were like, Google really did it. It's just a screenshot, and I had
Mm.
Google Maps open because at work I have to do maps all the time, and it says Gulf of Mexico. I'm like, no, they didn't. I hit refresh, and it changed live in front
Really?
of me today
Wow.
at like noon. I was like, holy crap, that really happened. But then I was like, it's for the Four Nations. That's all it is. So,
Yeah.
anyways, moving into the Four Nations, we're gonna do some fun talking about it, predictions, things like that. Everyone is in the hockey world because there's no games on. Since there's no fantasy right now, there's not a lot of. We could do stubs and scrubs, but it's useless. So we're just gonna talk Four Nations, and they released the line combinations yesterday, I believe. Did you see those at all, or anything, or?
I don't know if I saw the line combinations. I do think I saw like Canada's power play, which was just ridiculous.
We can jump right into that one then. I don't need to read all the lines because I'm sure anyone can Google them.
Yeah.
They updated their daily face-off because I went looking there thinking, oh, they do that for the teams. They should do it for the nations.
Yeah.
And they didn't, but they must have done it today
Okay.
or last night because all of a sudden they're there and it's really useful. Power
Yeah.
play, line one. Nathan McKinnon at center. Sidney Crosby, Sam Reinhart, Cale Makar, Connor McDavid.
Yeah, that's insane.
So don't take a penalty. Just I wish it was like football. Penalty's been declined. Canada gets a goal. You just
Yeah.
put it on the board, and then you get
Yeah.
your 2 minutes of 5-on-5. You just, you know what? We don't want them burning the clock and scoring a touchdown, right? Like,
Yeah.
let's give it
Yeah.
to them.
Wow. That is pretty insane. Uh, I mean, yeah, it's just
Right.
crazy.
They're, I mean, and this is my whole thing with it, I guess. I'll just jump in there. Is that to me is Canada's strength. It has always been their strength. Canada has the best top end talent. Even this tournament,
Yes.
where USA has some comparables and they have some seriously high end talent, especially the goaltending gap is in the US favor by far. Well, over the past and even today, I'd argue that Canada's best weapon is there's too much talent. They can throw four lines of all stars. They can sometimes throw four lines of Hall of Famers. Like
Yeah.
their roster this year to me looks like it went top heavy for 10 people forwards, and then they said let's get some grit or let's get some people with Stanley Cup on their resume.
Yeah.
And it's like I'm looking at it kind of going, I feel like you shot yourself in the foot a little bit because there are some decisions that I kind of think might bite Canada in the butt a little bit.
Who are you thinking here?
Yeah, so I'm looking at it. Their team's totally freaking stacked, right? But
Yeah, I'm if I'm looking down, sorry, it's I'm got my other phone.
oh
I'm
yeah,
looking at the
no
roster
problem.
too.
Same
So
with me. I've got them on there, but then I have our old document when we first talked about the four nations.
yeah,
They
yeah,
announced their roster. So I've got my question mark snubs, and I see something like, okay, I think that if he was totally healthy and nothing ever happened, Drew Doughty would be on the team, no questions asked. But he got
correct.
hurt for almost a whole year, right? So now he's on
Yeah,
the roster because of the Petrangelo injury, which
yeah,
he's not actually injured because he played Sunday. So I don't understand
yeah. I
that.
think he's got like a lingering injury that
But
like he could play through, but
yeah, so it's like a
and I don't know if there's any penalty for guys opting out of this turn. Like if Team Canada says, "Hey, we want you," and then they say, "No, no, I want the rest."
yeah. I don't think
I don't know how that works.
I don't think there is because technically Petrangelo and Quinn Hughes are not like injured, right? Like Miro Heiskanen is
Right.
injured. He's
Yeah.
not playing anywhere. He's a bed rest, right? It's like
Yeah.
so that is a little different. Now, I do think that basically what happened is the opposite with Petrangelo and with Crosby is like Crosby knows that he's getting near the end of his career. He's not 100% sure what the future holds, and there's pretty much a 0% chance Penguins will make the playoffs at this time this season. They still could, but it'd be pretty hard. So
Yeah.
he's a little banged up. He's a question mark, and I think he says, you know what, I'm going to go because this might be the only meaningful games this year I play. I'm going to go win a gold instead of, hang on to this dying team and get nothing. Petrangelo kind of does the opposite, I feel like, where it's like, okay, I'm not going to go get hurt. Our team's totally in first place. Almost, the Jets are.
Right.
But it's like the Knights are coasting into the playoffs. I'm going to rest for 2 weeks and gear up and be ready to go. Because Petrangelo knows almost certainly he'll play in the Olympics next year, right? Where then
Yes.
maybe not Crosby and Petrangelo as much as Quinn Hughes and Petrangelo. They both don't go for like opposite reasons, right? Where Quinn Hughes probably is healthy enough to play in the tournament if it was life or death. But it's
Yeah.
like, because he's so important to the Canucks and they're this close to making it, I think he feels obligated to be healthy for the Canucks playoff push.
So that brings me to a question here, because this is the NHL Four Nations, right? They're kind of behind this. So
Yep.
I would imagine this isn't like the Olympics where players are saying, no, I want to go to the Olympics, and teams are saying, whoa, whoa, we want you for our, we're the team that's paying you.
Yep.
So the NHL, I wonder how much. I'm sure they're all kind of working together, right? You know,
Mhm.
Quinn Hughes, the Canucks, the NHL. So the NHL is not going to find the Canucks if Quinn Hughes doesn't go because this is their thing.
Right.
But I wonder how much say the Canucks have in saying, you know, if Quinn Hughes says, "Well, I want to go," and the Canucks say, "Yeah, but we really want you for we're paying you. We want
Right.
you for the playoffs." You know, and because this tournament is like through the NHL, then they wouldn't. I wouldn't see the NHL punishing the Canucks because they're still. Uh, the NHL would benefit from Quinn Hughes being on the Canucks in the playoffs.
Right.
You know what I mean?
So it's kind of
So
a double-edged
they're
sword.
going to benefit from that.
Yeah.
Um, so so everyone's kind of working together is how I would assume it is. I don't know this for sure. I'm just kind of spitballing stuff here that I don't think that the NHL would punish teams or players for missing this because they also are going to benefit from those players that are, maybe a little dinged up and would rather have the rest being available for their playoffs. The NHL is
Right.
going to make money off of that as well. Um,
Yes.
and also, I don't know the answer to this. Is this Four Nations thing? Is it every couple years, every 4 years? Is
I
this like let's
yeah.
try it and see how it goes
I think that
kind of a thing?
as far as I
Okay.
understand it, the plan is to do more of this, and that they kind of want to have it offset the Olympics. So you got
Okay.
Winter Games next year and
Yeah.
26, and then so 28. I think they want to do another Four Nation, and then
Okay.
as long as it goes well and they make money, I think that the
Yeah.
game plan is to do it that way. Is what I've heard. And then, so I assume you would do Olympics, All Star Four Nations, All Star Olympics, All Star Four Nations, etc.
Okay.
So then you
Yeah.
have the All Star game every 2 years, and then you have international play every two
Okay.
years. And so you get the
Gotcha.
best of both worlds in theory. And I've heard a lot of people saying, oh, this tournament should just be in September. That's how they did the World Cup of Hockey when they had that North America team with the young kids and all that, which I get because it's like everyone's healthy then. And then it's probably not quite as intense, maybe. I don't know. But it's sort of like, hey, we're playing for pride instead of preseason. Once every couple of years,
Yeah.
we do this cool tournament. We make a bunch of money. You could probably somewhat easily do it like a baby Olympics where you're like, okay, well, in 5 years, we're going to do it in Sweden. You know what I mean? Like, you could
Right.
probably get away with that more. And
Yeah.
everything I've heard is saying that the NHL has zero interest because they compete against football in late September. And they're like, yeah, no,
Oh, for
bro,
sure.
we're not going against the NFL.
Yeah. I was talking about this with a guy at work today. So it's still related, but not, you know, deep diving into this here. But so this is replacing the All Star game, and not that that is a bad thing necessarily, but I mean
Thing.
some of these guys have I don't know how many in the NHL, but in sports, some guys there's incentives in their contracts for making the All
Oh,
Star
yeah.
team or different things like that. And so I wonder how much this is going to play. We're not having an All Star game. Okay, so right now it's just four teams, and Russia's out of it. And Dreisaitl, if this doesn't expand, will never play in anything because he's German, even though he's obviously an All Star this year.
Right.
So I wonder. I mean, it would be nice if there was some sort of. I mean, you can't do an All Star game and this, right? Because all your All Stars are at the Four Nations, and then it kind of waters down what the All Star game would be. Playing with all the guys that aren't in this tournament, right? So, but man, it would just be nice if there was something. I'm not saying it would have to be a game, but a convention where these guys are signing autographs or doing things. Um, we went to the Fan Fest
Yeah.
a few years back in Columbus. If you did something like that, or these guys, if they were at the Four Nation and do that Fan Fest thing where these Four Nations
Yeah.
are taking place at, have say, hey, we got to have a guy because I wonder how much this is going to play into it, right? So I know I saw this thing the other day that the Washington Capitals have how many players in this tournament? Do you know?
I do, but only because I just heard it today. You go,
Zero.
yes.
So
which
now that
is
whole team is resting.
in first place with a 2 week rest.
The Jets, Kyle
Yeah.
Connor Hellebuck going to this thing, playing an extra 10 days worth of hockey or, going to be gone for this or whatever. Something happens to them, boom, now they're down and out, or the Knights
Yeah.
or
Especially
whoever.
Hellebuck. I mean, knock on wood here. Let's not get the
Yeah,
fans bottom us, but I mean, they're a different team without him.
yeah. Because here's another example. So I'm not saying that this tournament is going to be physical. Maybe it will be. I don't know. Got a lot of skill players out there.
Yeah.
But these guys are going to be playing for pride. So in the championship game, let's just say it's whoever, Canada and the U.S. And Cale Makar blocks a shot from Austin Matthews, takes it off the foot, breaks his foot, and now misses the rest of the regular season.
Yeah.
You think the Avs don't want their players going next time?
Yeah, exactly. We're gonna do a lot of knock on wood.
Yeah. So I just wonder what that implication is. If it's an all-star game, it's like, well, these guys earned it to be there, and every team has some representation.
Right.
And if players want to take a rest, every team has the same break.
Right.
Whereas, and yeah, I understand you're going to have teams. The Oilers and the Avs are going to have more players at the All-Star game than
Yeah.
the Wings, who might be a bubble team. But it's like, so it still would be a little skewed. But I mean, you have a whole team
Yeah.
that's right there, even for the President's Trophy, and that whole team is getting a
The whole team and
10-day break.
this tournament, I feel like the fans maybe are more. I don't know. Apparently, a lot of people kind of think it's a little bit of a circus and no one's going to try hard and it's just for fun. But I don't really buy that. I think once the puck
I
drops,
think they're going to play for pride.
yeah,
Yeah, and that's why I said I think some of these guys, while it might not get physical, and I don't expect someone to take a huge hit or anything, but blocking shots, you can't tell me that in the gold medal game that these guys aren't going to be out there putting their bodies on the line blocking
100%.
shots for
And
their team.
there's no way to be. Well, that's not quite true, but it'd be a freak accident if somebody got hurt in an all-star game, especially when the 3-on-3 they're just going for a skate. Maybe the
Right.
goalie would pull a muscle on accident, didn't stretch
Yeah.
properly or something weird happens. You toe pick and
Yeah.
hit the boards. But in these high intensity games, like you're saying, definitely a block shot is probably highest on the list of
Yeah.
breaking a hand or breaking a foot. And
Drew Doughty just comes back from an ankle injury. He takes one off the ankle.
And that one was kind of a freak accident, but it's like, okay, how healed is it? I think that you have a good point that that's all it takes is everyone at the tournament basically is an all-star almost. Maybe
Right.
line 4 of Sweden and Finland have a couple weak links, but like in some injury replacements, but they're all super impactful for their team. Certainly the top 20 people there, it takes one time for McDavid to break his ankle or Makar to block a shot, etc. That whatever. Matthews' hand is broken. He's been banged up all season, and now he's out for the playoffs. And watch the Leafs go to round 3 for the first time in 100 years, and they lose with no Matthews. It's like Leafs are done. They're not Matthews. We're not going anymore. And there's different degrees, right? They say like because you were talking about can they be penalized and stuff, and I don't really know the official rules, but I heard Rick Tocchet saying like it's Quinn Hughes' decision, right? Like we're not stopping him. The Canucks aren't saying you're not allowed to go. So I don't know if they had the power to, or if they had enough kind of influence over someone to say like we really don't want you to go there because Ullmark is kind of hurt but can go. Rantanen's kind of hurt but can go. Crosby's kind of hurt but can go. So there's some bubble people that are like they're going, and I wouldn't be that surprised if the Hurricanes said, "Oh heck no, we just traded for you, and you're not playing very good. You're staying here." You know what I mean? Like to Rantanen or whatever. You're not going to say that to Crosby. Crosby, you can do anything you want. The end of discussion. There isn't a discussion. The only discussion would be like, "Hey, Sid, if you're feeling any pressure, you do anything you want." That's the
Right.
only
Yeah.
thing that should ever be said to him. But
Yeah. So it's just kind of interesting, how it's going to play out. Obviously you could make it for sure another team with Russia, and then do you have a sixth team that's just the rest of the world? But then that somehow doesn't seem right because you're playing for like your country's pride,
yeah.
So if
Oh,
you
you know
get
what
some,
though would be cool?
but
We talked about that last time, and you threw a knuckle puck at me I wasn't expecting. Was when I think rest of the world, I think they could still be pretty darn good because you think immediately of Dreisaitl, and then okay, you got Mo Seider. I'm talking Germany. Oh, okay,
yeah,
Kopitar's Sweden. Ooh, Zuccarella, I think is from Denmark. So it's like okay, there's some pretty good
mm,
players. If you went through the whole league, it'd be a pretty darn good team. What I
yeah,
didn't think of I think that you said to me was, what about the top 10 that got cut from US and Canada?
mm,
And now you're talking of a Tage Thompson, and you're talking
yeah,
of Suzuki, and you're talking a Shifley, and you're talking a Caps have zero people going. Has nobody ever heard of John Carlson?
right,
Alex Petrangelo steps out, and John Carlson doesn't come to your mind?
yeah,
Well, he's American, but you know,
yeah, but still,
Quinn
yeah,
Hughes though. Quinn Hughes was out, and it's what's his name went Sanderson, um,
Jake Sanderson,
Jake
yeah,
Sanderson. Which I mean, he's deserving of. He's playing really good, but Carlson's not playing bad either. And with his pedigree, I can't believe that they didn't think about giving him a call. But
yeah.
that
I
wouldn't
mean,
play very much though. It's we can get into it a little bit with the injuries because it has messed up my projections a little bit.
okay,
I
all
guess
right.
we'll just get into it.
Good. I like this. Let's get into the
Let's
projections.
just
What
get
do you
into
got?
the
Do you have what we had last time? Because I don't.
I changed mine, but I don't really know how to 100% other than I actually wrote down game by game and just asked
Okay.
myself who's going to win this game. Okay,
Because I
who's going
think
to win it?
last time I maybe picked America to win it.
And last time I definitely did because I had the upset being I didn't even know the format then, but I said
Yeah.
Finland is better than people think. In fact, if you go
Yeah.
bet it, their odds are like crazy against Finland. And I said
Yeah.
Finland's a sleeper team and they're going to the championship. And I thought there was a semifinal. So I was like, they're going to upset someone, and Finland's going to go to the
Mm,
championship, and USA.
okay.
And
Yeah.
Finland is missing Miro Heiskanen, Ristolainen, and Hakanpää on the back end. They have all their forwards. And to me, I thought, whoa, their top 3 or 4 of their top 3 defensemen are out. That might be too big of a hit. And then I said Team
Okay.
USA is missing Quinn Hughes. I think that is a way bigger hit to Team USA than Petrangelo is to Canada.
Oh yeah.
Because as good as Petrangelo is, and Drew Doughty hasn't been playing very good since he came back from injury, people are hyping up how like having Drew Doughty's presence there as a winner and as a locker room guy and the type of dude who's gonna like pal around and joke with you, but then like be serious and he can still eat minutes like crazy. If you need him to go sit on the bench and cheer you on, he'll do it. If you need him to play
Yeah.
30 minutes, he'll do it. And it's like it's a bit of a knuckle puck for me for Team USA losing Quinn Hughes and Canada getting
Yeah.
Drew Doughty. And
For
Crosby's
sure.
there. I want Crosby there. I don't want USA to beat Canada and have Canada safe for 20 years. The only reason
Oh yeah.
is because
That be
Crosby
the
wasn't there.
excuse.
No.
Yeah.
Anyways, so I don't know if you want to give your prediction or you want to talk the actual schedule, who's playing who.
So I don't. I know I saw the schedule, but what I want to talk about is the scoring. So I believe it's 3 points
Yep.
for a regulation win,
Yep.
2 points for like an overtime or a shootout win,
Win.
1 point for a regulation or shootout loss.
1 point for a overtime or a shootout loss.
Yes,
No
and
point
then
regulation.
0 points regulation loss.
Yes.
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 So I think that is going to play a factor in
Yes.
these standings because, yes, before I'm pretty sure I picked America to win just because I bleed red, white, and blue. But yeah, So I would like to change that, and I do think that you're right that Finland is a sleeper team.
Hmm.
Now, I think, and we can dig into this a little bit more. I'm just going to throw some things here. I do think the U.S. has the best goalies.
Yep.
Team Canada is just loaded. The more I look at Sweden, I'm not super whatever with those. And Finland, I do think, is a little bit better than people give them credit for. I know they got a couple of injury replacements and things like that, but here's what my prediction will be. I think Sweden finishes in the bottom.
Hmm.
I think the U.S. beats Canada in the round robin tournament.
Okay.
But, and see, I don't know the logistics of how all this is going to work. I think U.S. beats Canada, maybe in overtime or a shootout or something. But then I think Finland beats U.S. in regulation or whatever. Somehow they get more points. It's
Yeah.
Canada and Finland. Those are the top two teams with the points that go to the championship
Okay.
game. But there's going to be this weird thing that it's like, well, yeah, but America beat Canada in the tournament.
Right.
Well, yeah, but they didn't. But then they laid a goose egg against, Finland and Sweden. Took it, gave them, maybe the U.S. only beat Sweden in
In a
overtime or something.
shootout
So
or
they
something
so
like
they
that.
don't get the 3 points Finland does or something like that.
Yes.
So yeah, so then I think that it's kind of going to be Canada and Finland. And I mean, the more I think about it, I wouldn't be shocked if Finland wins the Four Nations tournament
Ooh.
because now I'm not sure I like their defense. And to be honest, I don't know a lot about those guys, some of those guys. But I'm gonna say I kind of like their goalies a little better, and I think Finland maybe is playing with a little bit more of a chip on their shoulder,
Yes.
um, out to prove some stuff.
Yeah.
And didn't they just win though? Like the something maybe in the Olympics
Finland.
or
Finland beat somewhat recently. I don't think they won the Olympics, but they do really well, and they might
yeah.
have won juniors. But I think that Finland beat a Russian team that would be very similar to if Russia
Okay.
were allowed to play this tournament,
Yeah.
and they're just
So
they're just
I,
underrated, and they really play like a no nonsense hard game. They're gonna beat you up. They're gonna close down, play the whole game like they're shorthanded, and it's not
yeah.
like, oh, they've got one guy. Like, oh, if you could shut down Mitchkov, you can take down the Flyers. It's like, no, dude, they've got like 8 elite goal scorers on their team.
Yeah. And so I mean Canada does have oh man, they've got firepower. But who the Finn goalies?
Yeah. It should be Saros as the starter, I assume, and
Okay,
Lankinen's the backup,
the
who
backup.
is killing it this year.
And I mean, if one of those guys gets hot, I just think you can frustrate a team. It's a one
Right.
the championship game is one game.
One game. One
So
game. If we played them 10 times, they might win 9. It's
yeah, yeah. So I like Lankinen or Saros to steal you a game more than Jordan Bennington.
agreed. It's
So not to steal your thunder or take whatever you had.
no.
What's
I
your
think we're
predictions and
echoing
what?
similar
But
things, but it's interesting. I don't have Finland winning the whole thing, but I would love it, to be
okay,
honest, just because they do have a chip on their shoulder. So here's the thing: if you read through their line combos, Finland is so underrated to me. I don't know really what people are looking at or what stats they use, because you got Barkov, Rantanen, and Lekkonen. Then you got Rope Hens with Aho and Patrick Laine. Okay, so
yeah,
then people kind of say, yeah, but that's all they got. Well, you got a point compared to the US and Canada, but like line 3 is Teravainen, Hala, and Armia. And let's not forget when Eli came on our podcast and talked about Armia and line 4 for
yes,
Montreal having the most points in the whole NHL for 3 or 4 weeks when they got hot, that like
yeah,
these guys can play. Just because they're not Connor McDavid, like these dudes can play hockey. And then Luosterainen, Lundell, and Grunland just goes to show that with UC Saros and net or Lankinen, every single person on this roster plays a full 200-foot hockey game.
Yeah.
And there are people on other rosters that straight up do not.
Right.
They just score goals or they just shut people down. And that's all they do. They don't really have this whole complete game. And Finland is bringing 20 people that can play power play, penalty kill, score goals, etc. And
Yeah.
you think Rantanen doesn't have a chip on his shoulder? Oh, you got traded to Carolina. Guess what? Stu's wrong. Rantanen sucks. Carolina sucks. You're not good at hockey.
And in the championship game, he's going to be playing Makar and McKinnon.
Mm-hmm. And you don't think that they're going good thing we got Nietzsche's. Nietzsche's is younger. Nietzsche's is better.
Yeah.
Or Rantanen's only good because he played with McKinnon. You don't think our boy in red, white, and blue, Jake Gensel, was sick of hearing that? Oh, you're only good because you play with Crosby. Even now, you're only good because you play with Kucherov. I'm sick of it. I'm going to go out there. So I love that take. But what's interesting is I had two fun geography things today with hockey.
Okay.
America was a fake one to get some laughs. Finland geography is what we call human geography in the geography. It's as well as physical geography, but the human geography of the country of Finland plays into this. And it plays into the Olympics and it plays into all sorts of stuff. A really, really underrated game in this tournament is going to be Finland versus Sweden. It's always a good game. They don't like each other. They're open about it. We don't like each other. We don't like when people confuse us with each other. They don't like it. So I actually learned a lot of this just by being a Tolkien nerd. Lord of the Rings, Tolkien.
Ah, okay.
So Tolkien was a linguist. That's what he really was, right? He was an author, but he was a professor of language. And so he knew all sorts of crazy history stuff like Old English, which would be like the 1100s and 900 and stuff like that. Really old English, not like old-timey English. And so he was like the world authority on the translation of Old English when he was at Oxford or wherever. And so I had this little book, or Leah had this book of like cool facts about it. So he wrote a whole bunch of languages. He invented languages for his books.
Yeah.
And one of his favorite languages to study was Finnish. And he loves Finnish. He would write all the time about how he loved the language because the language is very unique. You would assume that like Portuguese and Spanish are similar, and Italian and Spanish are similar because they're love languages and they're regions of the world that are close to each other, that Swedish and Finnish would be similar. Or maybe Finland and Russian would be Swedish. If you don't know your geography, Finland is just to the west of St. Petersburg, Russia. And so it's this landmass that's in between modern-day Sweden and modern-day Russia. That's because it's a new country. Tolkien fought in World War I. After World War I was over, the land that is today Finland was carved out by, I can't remember what it's called, but today we call it the United Nations. They carved out that land and they granted it to the Finnish people because it was rightfully their land. It's their history, their culture, their language, their religion, etc. And they didn't have their own land because for over 1,000 years, it was like a war zone. The Kingdom of Sweden and the old Russia before the Soviet Union, the Tsar Russia, the Soviet Union, they fought each other all the time, for hundreds of years, and the poor Finnish people were basically just owned by one of them. They'd come in and kill everyone, and then they'd say, you're Russian. And then Sweden would come in and kill everyone, and they'd say, you're Swedish. And so Finland does not like Russia, and they don't like Sweden. And they're basically a new recognized country in 1917. Don't look now, because I haven't done my research. This is memory. 1917, I think, is when they were granted to be their own independent nation. That's when the NHL was formed. So that's just a coincidence. But international hockey, they've played for a very long time. They're similar to Russian and Swedish because they're so close, but they're very independent. The only language even remotely close to them is Estonian.
Really?
Yeah, and they're very, very uniquely separate people in languages. They're not at all related to Ukrainian or Russian. They're their own thing. And
Huh.
I'm telling you, there's not very many people who live in Finland. They're really proud.
Yeah.
And when they go on that ice, Barkov is looking across at Sweden and those stupid little crowns on their jersey, and they want to win. And
Yeah.
it's intense. It's intense. So there's our geography lesson for the day. But
Okay.
it all backs up that you and I are on the same page where I think Finland is underrated and the team to watch
Yeah.
out for.
Yeah.
But I could
I
be
think
super
they got that
crazy.
fire. I think they got that. I mean, I think the other teams have the pride that they want to play for it, but I think the Finns just they got that fire in them that they want
Yeah.
to
I don't think they
show the
like.
rest of the world that they're one of the big boys. I think
Yeah.
sometimes they get looked as the little brother of
Yeah.
hockey, and oh, that's cute. You've had Timu Solani and whoever from
Yeah.
there. Yeah, okay.
They're
You've
not.
had a couple good players, but
Yeah. There's. Oh, I can
you're
make.
not one of the big boys.
Yeah, you're not one of the big boys. Or it's well, Russia's not there. It's very like, and
Yeah,
Sweden traditionally is a little bit better than they are in this tournament.
yeah,
I feel like, and it's okay. Aho, oh, he's not a real superstar. Oh, Patrick Laine, yeah, but you know how he is. He's streaky. Oh, Rantanen, well, yeah, we thought he was good, but look at him now without McKinnon. He's not
yeah,
very good. And okay, Barkov, I'll give you Barkov. Barkov's good. It's like, dude, this team is freaking stacked.
yeah.
So without those defensemen and especially Heiskanen, it's like, ugh, it threw me off a little bit because I kind of had Finland going to the final against the U.S. the first time we did
Ooh,
it.
okay.
And
All
so
right.
I have
Yeah.
changed it a little because I just went through the point system a little more.
Okay. Yeah.
So, like you're saying, it's going to come down to one game or two games being overtime. Is going to throw everything off.
Yes. Yeah.
So, what I wrote down, and I will say that I wouldn't be surprised if it was totally different. If it was Sweden versus Finland, I wouldn't be that surprised because you read
Yeah.
Sweden's roster, they're still pretty dang good. And to be
They
honest,
are.
William Karlsson can't go and Rickard Raquel can go. I think it made him better.
Hmm.
So, and to be honest, Markstrom's out. I think it made him better
Okay.
because Markstrom, I think, is a very good goalie, but he kind of goes up and down, and it's a little more like Jordan Binnington to me. He's either going to steal
Yeah.
the tournament or he's going to lay an egg. And
Right.
since Allmark is banged up, I think they're going to ride Gustafsson, and to me, that's good.
Mm.
That's going to make them better. But
Okay.
real quick, I guess I should jump into it because we could talk their rosters are messed up forever or line combos. I do kind of want to hit on the U.S., but I went through game by game and I did, okay,
Yeah.
first game, Canada versus Sweden. I said,
Canada.
okay, Canada. So I put Canada.
In overtime or just regulation?
Regulation.
Regulation. Yeah.
USA versus Finland.
Ooh.
So
Is
that
that
was kind
Friday's
of
game? Is that Friday's game? When is that game?
That is, yeah, no, that's Thursday because they're not doing any
Thursday.
games
Okay.
on Valentine's.
Nice.
Yeah. Which actually, I meant to make a joke earlier. I don't think Rochelle actually was sick. It was a fake out. She took a bunch of those diet pills for Thanksgiving to look real good for you.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
I need some of those pills. She doesn't.
Yeah, that was, well, no, you put it in the coffee. You took the wrong cup.
Oh,
That's what really happened. Thursday night, USA plays Finland. That really could make or break
wow.
who goes to the
Yeah.
final, I think.
That'll be a good game.
So I put Finland wins in overtime.
Okay. I can see that. Yep.
Okay. Then Finland versus Sweden, the Saturday daytime game.
Okay. Yeah, I think Finland beats Sweden.
Okay, I put Finland regulation.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
nothing against Sweden. It's just
I was trying to figure out who you said the first game was Canada Sweden. Okay, so now Finland has beaten US. Now they're going to beat Sweden. Okay, so they're in prime position.
Yep. So then coming into Saturday night, it is all of a sudden USA versus Canada. If Canada wins in regulation, I think the door's closed in Finland and
yeah. So Finland, I could almost see Finland being already having the most points by that time. They're going to beat the U.S. and they're going to beat Sweden, and then because it's the top two teams with the points, Finland's already a lock in for the
Already in. And if they
championship
win in
game.
regulation, they'll have 6 and
Yeah.
come into it. So either way, whatever happens, unless USA wins and Sweden beats Finland, it can still get tricky. But
Yeah.
if there's regulation, if Canada wins in regulation, Finland beats USA in regulation, and Finland beats Sweden in regulation, then Finland's already in, I think.
Yeah.
And the Canada-US game becomes do or die.
Who goes to the championship game? Yeah.
Basically, it definitely
Yeah.
would be Canada. If Canada wins, they're in. And if the U.S. has to win in regulation or they're out of the tournament.
Ooh, yeah.
So that
I
could
like
get
that.
gnarly. Okay, so
Yeah.
to hit
So then they're pulling their goalie with the tie game. Yeah, all that crazy
all of
stuff.
it,
Yeah.
all of it. So
Yeah.
that game is going to be so good already. Once you start to think about the point systems, it's like, oh my goodness, it really could get like crazy fast.
Yes.
So I put Canada over Sweden regulation, Finland over US overtime, Finland over Sweden regulation, USA over Canada regulation,
Ooh.
Canada
Okay.
over Finland regulation. If my math's right, Sweden versus USA will then play. Sweden's already out. They're the upset. The USA must win in any fashion
Oh.
in order to advance. I had USA winning in overtime to edge out Finland by 1 point because they have an overtime loss to Finland. So they got 1 point. So if my math's right, USA
Okay.
beats Sweden in overtime. I'm going shootout. I'm getting dramatic with it. Jack Eichel sends it. Who else? Larkin in the shootout. Sends
Oh,
it.
Larkin.
And now USA all of a sudden is in the championship against Canada. And they take them back to back. USA beats Canada, Montreal, and Boston. But without Quinn Hughes, that might be just me dreaming for a little bit. So I could see it playing out just like that.
Yeah.
And then
Who have they named a starting goalie for USA?
Hellebuck.
Okay.
But I could see my scenario going almost perfectly, and then Sweden upsetting USA in a shootout, and boom.
Yeah.
Finland, Canada.
What I would hate to have happen is because you said Sweden USA is the last
Sweden,
game.
USA is the last one. Which my other theory in that game, by the way, there's a situation where they're both out.
I would hate that.
With whoever wins advances if Sweden upsets somebody.
Yeah.
And there's a situation where Sweden's out, but they can play spoiler to the USA.
Yeah.
All 3 of those situations, to me, have JT Miller running Elias Pettersson. I'm talking elbow to the head. He's going to try to kill him. You heard it here first. I've listened to thoughts and all the other podcasts. No one's calling this. Sweden versus USA, Miller is going to try to injure Elias Pettersson. And just like Sam Bennett, when he punched Marchand in the jaw, he's going to look right at the camera and say, oh, no, I didn't mean to do that.
Yeah.
He's going to take his head off. I'm telling you, it's going to go down. And USA has people going that you do not want to drop the gloves with.
Yeah.
They got both Kachuk brothers.
Oh, yeah. That's
they got. Matt Baldy's not really like a tough guy, but he's big. I mean, you got both Kachuk brothers, JT Miller, you got Brock Nelson, you got Charlie McAvoy. You got some guys on the ice that you don't want to cross.
I do hope that game is meaningful. I hope that those 2 teams aren't out and then they're just playing for whatever.
If they're both out, it'll be, which might be kind of boring fun, like USA wins 8-6.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Just the poor goalies are just getting lit up. They play their backups, because then they'll say, well, they didn't get a play, we're already out of it. Not like
I do hope that means
you know what I mean, but
yeah. I hope it's meaningful for at least one. Obviously, I hope it's meaningful for USA, but the guys have something to play for. Even if Sweden's playing to be the spoiler, at least they got something to play for. So, but I do like that. I think there will be something on the line that game. I think it's going to shake out kind of crazy because I don't think that the winner of this tournament is going to be undefeated. And so then you are going to have a team and maybe Finland beats. I forget what my scenario was. I think I had Canada and Finland,
Yep.
right? Finland beating Canada, but maybe in the round robin tournament, Canada beats Finland,
Yep.
and then in the championship game, Finland turns around and they beat Canada. It'll get kind of crazy, which I guess is gonna make it all that much more fun.
Yep.
So
In fact, the scenario I wrote down exactly can change on a dime to go your way. Where if Canada beats Sweden, U.S. loses to Finland, overtime or regulation, whatever, overtime. Finland beats Sweden. USA beats Canada. Canada beats Finland. Now the last game of the tournament. If Sweden beats USA, they play spoiler, and Finland goes to the
mm,
final
yeah.
against Canada. So
So what are also I'm sure that maybe all these points in different scenarios, it'll be unlikely. But what happens if teams tie? Is the first tiebreaker head to head?
I don't know because it doesn't say it on their page. It says how they'll do points, and it says 3 points for the win, and then it says the
Yeah,
two teams with the best record will advance to a one-game final.
yeah. So I could also see it being
What if they tie?
somehow,
I
yeah,
don't know. Maybe they can't. I'm not that good at math. Maybe you can't have exactly the same score.
maybe.
We
And
don't
I do know that it's going to be less likely that two teams tie with the 3 points for regulation win. If it was just the standard 2 points for a win,
right.
1 point just because you went to overtime, I could see there being a more likelihood of a tie. But and I like this. I almost think the NHL should adopt
Should
this.
do that, right?
Yeah, the regulation win is worth more than
100% because you get a
yeah.
little more drama, especially at the end of the year. In fact, I kind of like the soccer approach more. Two things. The overtime in this tournament is going to be 3-on-3 with a shootout at first. The championship game will not be. It'll be 5-on-5.
Okay,
Just
just like
like
playoffs,
that,
NHL. Yeah,
which I
yeah,
love because the 3-on-3 in the shootout I'm kind of over anyways. But like with this many All Stars, it's like okay, McKinnon, McDavid, and McCarr coming out on the ice. I kind of want to see that. That's
yeah,
awesome.
yeah.
But at the same time, the point system, the real NHL, I think would benefit a little bit from. I think even ties. I think ties are better than the shootout. I hate the shootout. I'm done with it. If you did kind of like the old days, 5-on or the 3-on-3, whatever. I don't like 3-on-3, but leave it 3-on-3 for 10 minutes,
Well, I was just gonna say, I
and then
think
a
somewhere I
tournament.
was watching or listening to someone that they think it should be, uh, yeah, 2 periods of 5-on-5, or sorry, 2 5-minute overtimes, 3-on-3.
So you go both directions.
Yeah, and then uh, I don't know if you go to a tie or then if you go to a shootout, but you add another 5 minutes of overtime on. It's 3-on-3. That's what the people want, right? So I mean, they want the high paced. Uh, I mean, there's been some really good overtimes 3-on-3,
Yeah, sometimes.
and you got to figure if it goes to a shootout, uh, you're gonna if you added another 5 minute overtime, you're almost doing 2 periods of overtime. It's less likely than that it goes to a shootout.
And to that point, I wouldn't mind getting rid of the shootout and doing. I think it takes less time in real life because
Yeah,
even if you play 5 minutes and there's whistles, the shootout is like you got to have the other shooter come out once in a while. They
right.
review to make sure it crossed the line. Like they
Yeah,
do the quick zam down the middle. It's like get the 3-on-3, do 5 minutes, and then I think you switch sides. So
yeah. You
now
take
you
a
have
little
a
quick little two,
long
three
change.
minute break, and
Imagine
then
the second period long change in the
yeah,
second 5-on-5 overtime period.
yes, yes.
Like now it's getting crazy with it.
Or yeah, and some people will say, well, it's a regular season game, so if you have to play another 10 minutes of overtime, that can get to be a lot
Yeah,
back to back nights or whatever. But I mean, you want it to end though the way the game is played.
yeah.
Now, granted, 3-on-3 isn't 5-on-5, but 3-on-3 is still the team out there rather than just a shooter on a
A
goalie,
shooter on a
shoot
goalie.
on a
I
goal.
agree. 100%.
So
And it gives a little more incentive to I think the overtime loss needs to go away. The point. I get a
yes,
point for losing,
because
What kind of
you
participation?
could go 0-85 or 0-82, but if you lose every game in overtime, you've gotten 82 points.
Right, which in a lot of years you might be in the playoffs.
You're on the bubble.
You lost
Yeah,
every single game the whole year, and you might make the playoffs. What are we doing?
yeah,
And yes,
yeah.
I know that
I
that's
don't.
not going to happen, but like the fact that it's mathematically possible is like your system's wrong.
Yeah,
The,
I say get rid of that point for just going to overtime.
and then if you make the overtime longer and people complain about it, guess what? There's way more incentive to win in regulation because you couple it with
Yes,
a win is three. There's no
yes,
such thing as an overtime loss, and a tie is one.
yes, 100%.
Then it's like, okay, there's still ties, but who wants to play for 70 minutes and get 1 point?
Yeah.
Like,
Now
who wants to avoid?
here's another thing scenario that is kind of interesting. I'm against it just because then you have to do a shootout every time. But I read somewhere one time where you do the shootout first,
Okay.
and so you know who wins the shootout. Then you play the game. And so
Oh, so
now if it's
before
going to
the game
overtime,
starts, you do the
yes.
first.
So we already know who won the shootout. So then you're playing the game and overtime, and that team knows, hey, if we don't win, like we lost the shootout to begin
Right.
with. So if we tie this game, we lose.
Wow. Right. So
You know
then
what I
they're
mean? So
really,
now they're really pushing because they're like,
really
we
going,
have to
pulling
win.
their
We
goalie
have
in
to
a
win.
tie game and stuff like that. Or not
Yes.
a tie game, I guess.
Yeah.
But right. They're
Well,
way
you
more.
could because you know you lost the shootout.
Yep.
So what do you care? You're going to pull your goalie with the
Yeah.
with the
Or
tie.
and even
But then
pull
you
your
have to do
goalie
the
in over.
shootout before every game, and that I don't like that.
Yeah, I don't like that part. But the,
But I like kind of knowing, hey, if this ends in a tie, this team wins
right.
because for whatever reason.
That is pretty crazy. That's wild.
So if they could figure out some sort of incentive for
Right.
who,
The home
you
team
know,
automatically wins.
something,
If you,
or whichever team scored first, or
ooh,
like,
first goal. Ooh, that'd be crazy.
you know, and I mean, I know that kind of changes the complete, a
The
lot of
scoring
things, and it
rule,
kind of makes it a little more complex. But it's like giving those guys just something else to like. All right, we
yeah.
got to go for it because if we tie, we lose essentially.
Right. And it's like,
So
to me, it's actually less gimmicky, even though it sounds like, okay, well, you don't want to make it a circus. It's like the shootout already sort of is. Because, like, the
yeah,
shootout only exists at first in international play, basically. It was not an NHL thing. It was not a North America thing. We didn't do it as kids. Like I was a goalie. You never practice. You never practiced shootout. It was something the kids
yeah,
would like beg the coaches to do for fun. It was just
right,
torture for the goalies. And it was like the Olympics had it, right? I don't know when they started it, or maybe it's always IIHF because they play all the time, right? It's just you only watch
yeah,
during the Olympics, but like
right,
they play all the time, and that's just international rules. They got the big ice, they got the different crease, they got the different whatever. It used to be different with two line pass and crap like that, but they had slightly different rules, and they had the shootout with the five shooters,
yeah,
not the three shooters. So it was like it to me introducing that into the NHL was more gimmicky than it was like, oh,
yeah,
hey, it's going to be exciting. And I'm like, dude, penalty kicks aren't exciting in soccer. The only reason they're exciting
right,
is because for hundreds of years that's the way they've done it.
yeah,
And the net is the size of the whole house, and the dude comes in and he shoots it 10 feet over because they're so nervous that like they're going to mess up or they're overthinking
yeah,
it. And that's just part of soccer. It's not
yeah.
really part of hockey to me. It's let's get rid of it. It's so boring. And the
It's not,
Kuznetsov and the Kane,
and I
Kane,
think part of it became, because you could get a penalty shot in a game, and it was always very rare to see that, and so then that was exciting, and
right,
so then it was like, oh, now we can have shootouts, and I think at first it was kind of like, oh, that'd be awesome. We hardly ever see penalty shots,
right,
and then it was like, okay, yeah, but it's going to happen a lot more than what people realize, and then eventually the novelty of it is going to wear off, and
100.
now it's not as
It's a
special.
line in a movie. It's another one you could, I think, probably watch with the kids off the top of my head. Big Daddy.
Mm,
Adam Sandler has to raise the little
yeah,
kid, right? He's got a line in there because Adam Sandler, I guess, is a hockey fan in real life, right? He's got the Boston jersey
yeah,
on and
yep,
Happy Gilmore, and he's like screaming at the kid one time that he wants to watch his kid's cartoon, and he's like, "It's a penalty shot in overtime. This happens once every 100 years."
Oh yeah.
It's like, right,
Yes.
that
Yes.
would be awesome, but the shootout, I'm done with it. So I like the we got sidetracked with the points though. Is like, if the NHL changed the points, I get that it messes with history, but like, you can always say there's the pre-original six, right? Or
Right.
and then there's kind of the post lockout is really kind of different also.
Yeah.
And you could kind of say, well, when did they change the two-line pass rule? You know, and there's like been some changes that were fairly significant to scoring. That's like,
Yeah.
okay, well, they changed some rule with the something to do with the Oilers. They scored too many goals. They coincidental minors, coincidental
Yes.
minors. You both are
That
roughly
was
5-on-5.
that was had a lot to do with Wayne Gretzky too, because
Yeah,
they knew if they played 4-on-4, space opens up. Gretzky just,
yeah. So
yeah,
if you're what's his name, Couture, right? Kocher, who's the bodyguard to Gretzky, go grab someone and cave their face in. Now it's
right.
four on
You're
four.
trying to get those. You're trying to get the coincidental, or
Yeah,
the you know what I'm saying.
right, exactly.
Uh,
Go somebody
Minors
who's
to
done the
make it
same.
4-on-4.
Now it's four on
Yeah,
four, and you got Coffee, Messier, Curry, Gretzky. We win.
yeah,
So they changed the rule. I learned that you score a goal on the power play, the penalty's over. That's a rule because somebody back in the day for Montreal, they scored like 5 goals on one penalty or something, and it was like,
mm,
we got to do something here.
yeah.
If you take one penalty, Montreal's going to win the game 20-0. Like it's, and so they changed the rules, and it's like,
Now, what do you think about this rule? Because I saw this the other day. I kind of like the new. It's not a new rule, but I think it'd be kind of interesting if they made it a rule that if you are on the power play and you get scored on shorthanded, power play's over. Guy get
oh,
penalties over.
I
Guy gets
think
out of
you
the
might
box.
have told me that one time. I actually kind of like that because
Yeah,
they're always talking about they want to promote scoring, right? It's not a
yeah.
fighting league. It's not the UFC. We want goals. Okay,
So now you've just incentivized your
you
penalty killers
incentivize the penalty
taking it down
killers,
there trying to score.
which is often going to backfire, and now it's a 5-on-3, and you got scored on. Either way, it's goals, baby.
Right.
Goals.
Yep.
And then you fast forward 10 years later, you're going to get some young kid no one's ever heard of, the new McDavid, who comes in, and it's like he's been playing the D to D pass. I steal it and go on a
Mm,
breakaway. That's been my thing my whole life because it's
yeah.
the only NHL he's ever known. And all of a sudden, it's like
Yeah.
you got speed skaters playing hockey that are just like, catch
Right.
me if you can, I'm out of here. McDavid's already kind of doing that. But McDavid doesn't kill a lot of penalties.
Right.
Well, if he could score a goal to end it, maybe he would. Dylan Larkin's a great. He kills penalties, but he's if he
Yeah.
played on a better team, maybe he wouldn't or whatever. You know what I mean? Like there's those type of players that it's like they're deadly. They're
I
deadly.
like the incentive. I like the
Exactly.
incentive that's there. Let you just make it a rule, and some teams probably aren't gonna
Yep.
do anything different. They're gonna say, nope, we're gonna kill the penalty.
Mm-hmm.
We're gonna play it safe. We don't care about getting that goal and getting our guy out of the box. We're just gonna have a solid PK, kill the penalty, and then go
Yep.
score a goal.
And then other
But then
people
you
are.
are gonna have those teams that are going to go for it a little more, and so I like giving the players a little more incentive, something else to play for.
I like
Uh,
it too. I think it's great because of that type of thing. Like for me, they pull the goalies too early. And we all know back, whatever, when Wah started doing it with 8 minutes left in the game, and people were like, "What are you
yeah,
doing that?" But now everyone's calmed down a little bit. But once it's 5 minutes, 4 minutes, that goalie's
yeah,
pulled. And when you're down by one, they pull the goalie with 3 minutes, guaranteed. If you're down by two,
yeah,
there's 6.5 minutes left on the clock, pull them. And I have never seen it work. I would love to like
yeah,
deep dive the real stats, but it's like nowadays, here's the problem. In the 70s, if your goalie was pulled and I iced the puck, tried to hit that empty net, and I missed, I'm like benched. Well, in the
mm,
modern NHL, as soon as it touches your stick, go for the goal. Go for the goal.
yeah.
Go for the goal. Because guess what? If we miss, that's okay. Yeah, okay. If it's Crosby or Barkov or somebody who's really good at faceoffs, like maybe you don't want to ice it too much and now you can't change, so you're tired. These dudes are in such good shape. There's 6 minutes on the clock. They'll ice it 25 times. They're getting the 10-second rest every time. Get the puck,
Yeah,
ice it. Get the puck, ice it. Get the puck, ice it. Okay, that was basically a timeout. So now we're not
yeah,
tired. And guess what? We scored. And then you pulled your goalie and we scored again. And now it's like, 5-2. And it's like, yeah, because you pulled your goalie with 7 minutes left. I
yeah.
think that is going to slowly start to go back to pull the goalie with 2 minutes left.
Okay.
So kind of like you're saying with the penalty kill thing, at first I think people will say, we're gonna kill the penalty, and there will
Right.
be other people that are going, go for it, baby,
Right.
and it'll
Yeah.
mix it up. And I'm
Yeah.
I'm curious to see how long it's gonna take for all the eggheads to get out there with the AI and go. Actually, pulling your goalie with 6 minutes left has never ever worked.
Yeah.
Stop this. Like,
Yeah.
I just watched a game where they did it. They got scored on the empty net, so now they're down by 3, and it was like, okay, game's over. 2 5-on-5 goals.
And then they score. Yeah.
Yeah, and then they lost by 1, and I'm sitting there going, you had 6 minutes
Yeah.
left. What? Why'd you pull your goal? You just got 5-on-5 goals. It drives me crazy. I don't
Yeah.
know, maybe it's because I used to be a goalie, but it's like I pulled your goalie with 2 minutes left for sure. 5 minutes, 6 minutes, 7 minutes. What are you doing? They're gonna score. They always
Yeah.
score, and it's less physical. So if I send it all the way down the ice and it's a race for the puck, you're not gonna kill my player. You know what I mean? Like I can
Right.
send Raymond down in a foot race 10 times.
Yeah.
Like okay, it's so dumb to me, but whatever. The Four Nations, I'm so excited for. I can't wait. But I'm a little worried with our Team Finland predictions with some of their injuries. What did I want to
So
say?
you have who winning it? Canada?
USA, baby.
USA
Over
over
Canada. In
Canada.
Boston.
Okay. USA over Canada. I have Finland over Canada.
Yes.
Okay. I
Which
like it.
I
I
could
like
see
it.
that. I also wouldn't be that surprised. Like, if Canada comes in and wins 4 games in a row, I'm not going to be that surprised.
Yeah, Canada could just come in and wax everybody
Yeah.
and just
But here's what I see. Okay, real quick, Team USA. Their line combos, I don't totally agree with, but we are stacked, bro. Jack Eichel, Kyle Connor, Matthew Tkachuk. Line 2,
yeah.
Jake Gensel, Austin Matthews, Jack Hughes. Ever heard of him?
Yeah.
Austin Matthews had 70 goals. Jack Hughes has had 99 points like 3 times. Line 3, Matt Boldy, JT Miller, Brady Tkachuk. Personally, I'd get JT Miller out of there. I know. Because of my
So
boy Larkin.
that's probably the most physical line in the tournament.
And they are like, I would not mess with those bros.
Yeah.
Because also Brady Tkachuk is like low key. I don't know. Everyone always says like Brady Tkachuk
Psycho?
a little bit, and it's like we need him in the playoffs. We need to see him play good. Like that guy's bred for the playoffs, and he's so good. He's so talented. Blah blah blah. And then you look at his numbers, and they're just not really there. It's like,
Yeah.
is he really just overrated? And it's like, well, he's a power forward who plays for a team that sucks. Like,
Yeah.
throw him on Team USA, that's amazing. And it's like, dude, you're now basically a line 3 grinder. If Brady Kachuk's a freaking grinder on your team is stacked. Line
That's
4
the problem is that all the pressure is on him in Ottawa to
100%.
perform.
And he's not
So,
super fast, right? So it's like
yeah.
it's hard to be the slower power forward when you don't
Yes.
have the speedster with you.
Yeah.
Even if you don't have to have McKinnon, but if you don't have like a Raymond, you don't have an Aho, you don't have some of those playmaker guys, even a
Right.
Braden Point, it's like you need kind of your counterpart. And you could say he's got that with Stutzla, but it's, he's still young and getting it together.
Right.
It's
Yeah.
hard. I mean, so is Raymond, but you know what I mean? If you
Yeah.
don't have Mitch Marner,
Right.
you know what I mean?
Sorry to get sidetracked on that, but yeah, Brady is very valuable on this USA team. But when he's by himself and he's expected to be the guy,
Yeah.
we get it. He's not going to take you very far.
And
But when he can come in and be a complimentary player like this,
exactly.
look out.
Then you
Look
round out
out.
the bottom with a very complete team. To me, there's a little hole in our roster. You got Brock Nelson, Trocheck, and Larkin. I like Trocheck; he's good, but I do wish that was. I'd rather see a Tage Thompson there, if I'm honest,
Mm,
with Larkin at center.
yeah.
Probably. Well,
Larkin on our fourth line is crazy, dude.
right. He's so underrated. He's first line penalty kill. Like they know they've got him in the right spots for.
Is Jason Robertson not on our team?
No Jason Robertson. And based off of this season, that's probably the right call, but it's insane. No Tage Thompson.
If you, I saw a
No Cole
stat the
Call.
other day that I was paying attention to because these guys were on my team. I want to say that there's only like 5 or 6, maybe 7, a handful of players in the league right now that since January 1st, so I know it's small sample size, 6 weeks, 7 weeks, since January 1st have scored 10 goals and have at least 20 points.
Mm.
Dylan Larkin, Philip Forsberg, Jason Robertson, I think Leon Draisaitl, and there was someone else. But I paid attention because I have Philip Forsberg, Jason Robertson, Dylan Larkin on my fantasy team, which
Nice.
is why my team's been killing it. But I'm like, yeah, dude, Larkin is killing it. And yes, Jason Robertson, I don't know when you had to have your rosters finalized, but he's struggled. He's finally turning it on, but he struggled the first 3, 4 months of the season. So
Yeah.
I get that, but still, I mean, Larkin, line 4?
Like Larkin's on line 4, and like to me, Brock Nelson makes sense because he's
Look
such
out.
a playoff type of a person. But
Yeah.
Jason Robertson and Tage Thompson are probably the two that it's like now that
Yeah, dude, I would take Tage Thompson on line 4.
like,
Heck yeah, dude.
and he is saying he wasn't doing super good early, but it's like
Yeah.
ever since January and definitely right now, we're about to start the tournament tomorrow. I'm going.
Yeah.
I wouldn't hate a Tage. Now the other argument is same thing. Cole Caulfield's having a good year and cooled off a little bit, but he's having a good year. You look at the team and you go, dude, I got Connor, Eichel, Kachuk, Gensel, Matthews, Hughes. I don't need points.
Yeah. So I'm doing this because it's reminding me of something I want to mention.
Yeah, go.
Completely disregarded this little fact. So I like your prediction a lot more now. Did you see that they are hanging Johnny Goudreau's jersey in a stall?
Wow.
It's going to be there. So
come on.
All those guys are playing for him too. So
and
don't think that that's not going to mean something.
Literally, it will a lot because there's a bunch of people that obviously the whole hockey community is, so connected to him in some way or another. It's still like on Team USA, he would be a very obvious pick for the team. So it's like, okay, Brock Nelson and Trocheck, and even you could maybe debate Larkin and Boldy. I think Larkin's on, but like Goudreau's one of the spots.
Yes.
For sure. So now it's like, what do you do with the other one,
Yeah.
And then you're talking Jason Robertson and Tage Thompson. It's like, in theory, you could have Tage Thompson, Jason Robertson, and Goudreau, and no Larkin. You know what I mean? I would pick Larkin because of his, kind of tenure more than Jason Robertson, so young. But, in theory, you could do it. Clayton Keller's not on the team. You know what I mean? And they're going to be playing for Johnny. And Quinn Hughes is the best D for USA, hands down. He is probably a legit candidate for the Hart Trophy at this point, but not so low-key conversation for Vezina finalist. Hellebuyck is winning the Vezina. That was a mistake. I meant to say the Norris Trophy. Is that we're in? And you don't think we're in?
For
and then
sure.
not very quietly be like, I'm winning the gold for Johnny. I don't care that it's not the Olympics or it doesn't matter. Oh, no. And they're playing in Boston. You can meet Eichel's from Boston. Like that.
I take it back. U.S. is going to beat whoever they play in the championship. It doesn't matter. They're playing for Johnny, like you said. It's going to be in Boston. Johnny played for Boston. It's over. It's over.
It's over. And that was on one of the podcasts. I think it was Chicklets. The producer guy was saying, that USA is going to win in Boston in overtime because Jack Eichel's going to score. And he's a Boston guy, and he's just going to rise to the occasion. And I'm like,
I love it, dude.
I
I would love it if
I
that
want it to be
would
so
happen.
dramatic that I almost have to go to the bathroom because there's a McKinnon McDavid like 2-0 or something.
Yeah,
Buck
yeah.
robs them, and it goes right back down the other ice, and Eichel scores.
Robs him, snatches it out with his glove, puts it
Passes it
down,
out.
shoots it, passes it out. Oh, beauty.
Julie the
Beauty.
cat Gaffney. You're done. Iceland's not even invited. We're shooing.
Oh,
But
man. I love that. Yeah.
I'm all for it, dude. I'm on the Kool-Aid big, and we do have the best goalie by far. Because here's what I was going to say about Canada's roster: that I do see a couple holes. Their team is super crazy good, but I'm looking at their snubs, and I'm saying that, especially with Pietrangelo being hurt, you don't have Evan Bouchard on your roster, but you have Parayko on your roster. That's a hole to me.
Yeah.
Why don't you have Bouchard? Why don't you have Noah Dobson? Why don't you have Uyghur?
Yeah.
And Drew Doughty is normally great, but he breaks his leg and he comes back and he's having a tough time playing big minutes, but he's not playing very well. Points and his plus minus is terrible. I picked him up in fantasy. He's a healthy scratch. Sorry, Drew. I know that you're a first ballot Hall of Famer, but Drew Doughty and Parayko, those are holes. That should be Uyghur and Bouchard. Okay, then I look at probably Cirelli and Travis Konechny, and I'm going, I don't know. I think I'd rather have Verhaeghe. I think I'd rather have Scheifele. I think I'd rather have Hyman. Even Celebrini. Probably not Bernard myself, but they got maybe he's better than I think he is. Travis Konechny is on power play 2, but somebody else isn't. Like Brendan Hagel's not, Marchand's not, Morrissey is not. They got Shea Theodore. And it's just like, to me, I'm like, there's a couple decisions with the roster that are weird, and we just saw that in the juniors tournament. Canada got embarrassed a little bit. They lost to Latvia. And it's like, some of these decisions of who's there. Like, Seth Jarvis is playing so well right now, so you can't argue that. But it's like, I don't know. Hagel used to be a question mark for me. He's killing it this year. So
Caring about this year.
amazing, yeah. So forget that. But, of course, the obvious one is in goal. Right now, according to Daily Faceoff, they're starting Binnington.
Yes.
And they got Aiden Hill on the bench, and they got Montembleu in the reserves. And it's just like, it should be Logan Thompson.
Yes.
If Logan Thompson was in net, I'd be a lot more afraid. When we did this the first time, I said, you have to play Binnington because he's this wild card. I've changed my mind. I think you have to play Aiden Hill because back when I used to play, even though it was just youth hockey or whatever, we always played kind of one division above where we probably should have been. So we would get outshot games, like 40-12. And it was like, okay, well, if I played well, we might lose, 3-1. And it's like, okay, well, you got peppered all night. That's the Gibson. Gibson's been peppered his whole career. He's an amazing goalie. Okay, it is a different skill set to be Martin Brodeur and to face 18 shots a game and never let one in. You have to be able to stay mentally focused when you go like 8 minutes with no shots against. Okay, well, that's Aiden Hill. The Golden Knights are so good. It's like, bro, that dude could stand there for 7 minutes against Sweden, and Gustafsson's standing on his head, and Canada's all over them. And then don't sleep on Sweden. Look at their roster. Philip Forsberg, Elias Pettersson, and Andre Kempe come, or worse, William Nylander. If Nylander and Pettersson and Forsberg turn the puck over and come down on you, and you've been standing there checking out the girls in the stands for 11 minutes, okay, you better be ready to go, bud, because that's in the back of your net. And Aiden Hill has to play that way because his team's so good.
Yeah.
Jordan Binnington is used to getting peppered. He won the Stanley Cup getting peppered. He made action. And you can't gamble on will he find his game or will he not. And oops, let's say that they lay an egg and they lose to Sweden. Then they go out there, they play the USA, and they win in overtime. Okay, now Canada is against Finland in an absolute dire must-win game. What are you going to throw Montemblue in? You're suddenly in panic mode. So when
Yeah.
I see Canada's roster versus US's roster, even though line 1 is better, who cares? Like, you have to play all your guys. It's the opposite. USA has the best goalies. Only one dude can be in the net. So it doesn't really matter that we got Ottinger and Swayman. Only one guy can play. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like with the forwards for Canada, that's where I think they made a mistake. In the past, they make the best team because they got like a Ginlas on line 4. They just
So here's a knuckle puck I'm going to throw at you before I have to hop off here. I don't mean to cut it
sorry.
short. What if you have to play a different goal? Like only Hellebuck can only play one game.
They got to play.
And yeah, they have to play all 3. You can pick whatever game you want them to play, but each goalie has to play one, and then you can decide who you want to play in the final.
I wish that should be a rule. That's awesome.
I like that. I like that.
The USA.
Yeah. Because then I mean, I kind of like it because then if you're the Jets, you're not worried about Hellebuck going out there and playing for another 3 or 4 games, maybe getting hurt. You know, maybe he only has to play 2. You know that he's going to play only one round robin. And then there's a little bit of strategy. If you are who does Hellebuck play against?
Who does Hellebuck play against? And you can't really get in the zone, or can you? And to be honest, because then I'll let you go. Sorry, it's the
you're good.
String goalie on all 3 teams is still like for Canada it'd be Montembleu.
Yeah.
And for USA it'd probably be Swayman, which is ridiculous. For Sweden, it would probably normally be Gustafsson if everyone's healthy. And for Finland, it would be Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen.
But now you're throwing this thing in here where if you're Sweden and you're playing the U.S. or Canada, and they're like, yeah, it's just Sweden. Let's throw our 3rd string goalie at them.
Yep.
Oh, you think we're the weakest team in the tournament?
So we're the worst team.
Oh, okay. Yeah, we'll show you.
Exactly.
I like it. I think that should be a rule.
That should be a rule. And I don't think anyone has to play a back-to-back, I don't think. I just realized.
Probably not. They've probably got it spread out enough that they know.
They do. They have it spread out back-to-backs.
But, I mean, even in the All-Star game, you have your goalie play 1 period or 1 game, or whatever it is. Now it might be 1 game because it's 3-on-3, and they do the little 3-game thing or whatever. But
here's another reason to go Team Finland for you, and then let's actually wrap up. They're the only team in the tournament that has to play both 1 p.m. games.
Oh.
And traditionally, the players don't like the noon games because they're so scheduled.
Yeah,
so
it throws their routine off.
They gave us the noon games because we're not serious.
Yeah.
Canada's got to play Finland. It's a noon game. Finland, Sweden, no one's going to watch it. Saturday at noon. And Finland's like, you're really giving us both the noon games.
Yeah.
Okay.
I like it.
It'd be great, actually, if Canada laid an egg and it was Finland versus USA. But I don't want that. I want Canada versus USA as a
USA.
And I want USA to win it in overtime.
Yeah.
All right.
That'd be awesome.
Sorry, we went a little bit
good
there.
stuff.
Hard out tonight, so we got to get going.
No, we're good. We're still good, but a lot catching up with, Rochelle being down and out and all the things, school stuff. We got bad weather supposed to be coming tomorrow, so I was supposed to have the day off tomorrow, but probably going to have to go in. I think we're supposed to get in the neighborhood of, I'll say 3 inches. Some models say 1 to 3, some say 3 to 5, some say 5 to 8.
And there's always a little bit of
who knows what we're going to get.
In Illinois. It's the final thing. Since we've changed our votes, USA is going to win in overtime against Canada.
I'm going USA.
Who wins? Game-winning goal. Game-winning goal.
Game-winning goal. Oh, man. I'll go Wolrinski.
Oh, dang, I was going to say that.
Yeah.
Okay.
As a defenseman, if I had to pick a forward, I'm going Larkin.
Dang it, we're the same person. Okay, I was going to say Larkin or Wolrinski. I hope it's Wolrinski for just the beauty of it all. Then I guess instead of Larkin, I'll change it and I'll just say I'm gonna go Jack Hughes. His brother can't be there. Jack Hughes.
Okay,
Game
okay.
legal.
I'll go the other Jack then. I'll go Jack Eichel.
Yep. Sweet.
Jack
All right,
Eichel.
dude. Keep your
All
shit
right,
on,
man.
guys.
Yep, make the first move, Conway. USA, USA,
USA.
USA.